Welcome to the Pay Yourself First podcast. My name is Chris Jolly, and I'm on a mission to financially empower millions of entrepreneurs. I want you to make and keep more money so that you can begin implementing and turbocharging a plan for creating financial freedom your way during the life cycle of your current business without spending a ton of time or becoming a professional investor. You see, most of the financial teachings out there are made for employees, not entrepreneurs. If you wouldn't listen to someone who doesn't have kids about parenting, why take business financial advice from someone without a business? Are you ready to break free of bad advice and follow the trail of other uncommon entrepreneurs so you can get from where you are now to the lifestyle you were aiming to create when you started your business? Then stick around. Here comes another episode of Pay Yourself First, where the only investment we offer is the one you make in yourself. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. I am super excited because today we have another really amazing entrepreneur on. His name is Shawn Huber, and his business is Structured Freedom. Shawn is a positive mindset coach. Shawn, you've been doing this business a while. Well, first of all, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Yeah, so excited for the conversation we're going to have today. I know there's going to be a lot of gems in there for our audience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, who you help, and how you got started in it?
So the thing about this mindset piece, I've been doing this for years and people just started labeling it mine. So I don't want you to necessarily add a bunch of stuff to what you're presently doing. So I just have them look at certain aspects of their life when it comes to their sleep, what they're eating, how they handle stress, how they get creative, because I think that's huge. A lot of entrepreneurs are out there not getting creative with themselves. So I brought in hypnosis into the coaching world to get rid of the subconscious blocks, but also use it, which a guy named Jose Silva created, dynamic hypnosis, to have people see their future and actually believe they can attain it. And why I started putting that together is I saw throughout my life how certain things that I overcame affected the way in which I was thinking. And I always come up with the question of what if. I think a lot of people do, where they're like, what if I make this and it doesn't work, and I do this and that doesn't work? And I'm like, but what if you do make that choice and it does work? So why is there such a diverse way of how people are thinking? So the physical side we work on, but the mental side is, what are you allowing into your mind? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? How are you allowing those outside things to sway you or manipulate you in a particular way? So I take a look at what people are doing with their free time. So you can get on social media and start doing that comparison thing, like, oh, that person's so much further ahead, or this person's there. And I'm like, okay, when we sit down, let's write out your calendar. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? Like, I want you to know where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10 in this particular activity. Where are you? You're like, okay. So now what's your attitude towards that? What does that mean? So if you have a crappy attitude and you have a higher number, that's not going to go anywhere. But if you have a great attitude and a lower number, then we can work with that even better. But now if you have a great attitude and a great number, now we're unstoppable. So why do people seem so outgoing and so motivated and others don't? And so all those aspects I like to take a look at, I geek out on it. And a lot of people don't realize there are things affecting them that they're not aware of, like your gut health, microbiome, they call it. So that's what you're putting in your stomach. And then what kind of fuel is that creating to not only generate energy, but your thought process. I went to massage therapy school. And that's where that whole mind, body, emotions, started to realize weren't connected just in the brain. Someone had some traumatic event, say a car accident, or someone physically harmed them, you touch that area of their body, they reacted. Then I got into personal training because my massage therapy clients asked me about exercise. Some people want to come in and be held accountable, but they won't hold themselves accountable. They create a codependent relationship. So because they're paying for it, they'll show up. So I got into coaching for that simple fact, to ask questions to figure out why people want to lose the quote 10 pounds that everyone wants to lose, what they thought would happen once they lost that weight. And all these answers they were coming up with were just pulled out of thin air. They really they didn't do any research. They just thought, well, when I lose 10 pounds, I'm going to feel better and look better. I'm like, really? So they lose the 10 pounds, they wouldn't attain the goal. And you're like, what's next? So they're all goal oriented. And I'm like, how about attitude oriented? So I started coaching them as I trained them, and they would start showing up on their own. They started doing some really cool things where a few were college athletes who went on to win like Olympic medals, gold medals and stuff, sports. But I also got to see people who were afraid if they fell down, they couldn't get back up. And so you start to think, okay, physically they would fall down, who would pick them up? So you'd have to teach them how to get themselves up. And because it was such a simple thing, their fear would go away. And once their fear went away, then they'd try different things. And I had one guy, 87 years old, started kicking a soccer ball around with his grandchildren and went on a cruise. He just opened up to the possibilities of what he could do. I create a program called the Mental Mechanics. So look at a car, right? Could have all the nice parts on it, all cleaned up, but the software's not working. Nothing fires correctly. The windows don't work. And you're going, what happened? And the energy, the battery may not be working correctly or it's charging correctly. So it doesn't matter if you've got all the best components in the world. If that software component or your brain isn't firing correctly, it's not going to run right. And I think that's what people believe is, I'm going to find a quick fix to do this, to do that. They burn out. We'll replace it. They'll go here, they'll go there. They'll run around crazy. And the next thing you know, they're not feeling well. They got an autoimmune issue. And what do I do now? Panic sets in. So what I've done to give back to the community is I do hypnosis with people who are going through cancer because they just need a break, man. Guess what? They still have bills. Most of them are still going to work. People are like, what do you mean? Like, think that's stressful? They're still going chemotherapy, getting up, doing life and trying to be positive. And they just need a break because their biggest worry isn't about themselves.
Yeah.
It's watching their family members around them have no control over it, but doing everything in their power to help them out. And they feel guilty. They're like, they need a break too. How do you give your loved one a break who they're doing everything in the world to make you feel worthy of it? And we were having a conversation about one of them going down to Mexico. He says, $50,000, man. I don't know if I want to do it because it's only a 50-50 chance. So if your wife was going to go, what would you pay? He goes, millions. I go, but you would pay 50 grand. He goes, she needs the money. I'm like, I think she needs you more than the money. And that's where we start to devalue ourselves.
Yeah.
That's the way in which this person was raised. Like, he doesn't see himself as valuable, but look at the work you've done with people. Look at the charities you've run, the artistic creativity you have in this marketing, in these things and the art you do. Said, I can see every bit of you in all of this because it's done so well. There's so much value there, but you look at yourself and you're like, I'm not worth it. It's better to have 50,000 in my wife's pocket than me be around. I'm like, did you just hear yourself? So why do we downplay our own value? And it's because we don't think we're bringing enough to the table until we take a bigger picture. And that's why I really wanted to get into, like, you don't need to add so much more to your, how much more income or possibilities are there because you are picking your brain up and your eyes and you're looking around going, oh, that's always been there. Why didn't I see it before? Because you want to fix everyone's problems and you can't. It's up to them if they want it. So I stopped working with the people who needed it. I completely had to stop them. I can't work with you. I want it more than you do. Nope. So now when someone comes to me, like, they want it. And my wife and I were talking about this. She was a school teacher. She goes, do you realize most of the majority of my time was spent with the problem kids who didn't want to be there? They're always causing trouble, making noise, getting attention. And so I'm focused on them, but the ones who wanted my attention, they're okay, they'll be fine. But how much more could they have done if we got rid of the ones who didn't want to be there? Now in school, you can't do that because it's public, but in the real world, you can do that. Where my program or my way of teaching isn't for you. I'm not going to let them be hanging. I'm going to put them in touch with someone who could serve them better at that area. But I don't have to coach people. I choose to. I get to choose who I coach now. And it was a really weird transition because you never want to leave people behind. But the craziest part is when you do, they find someone immediately to replace you.
Yeah.
Because that's their survival mechanism. If it's not you, it's going to be someone else. But you're so afraid that you're going to let someone down that you're sacrificing your own well-being. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, without you, you can't help other people. So help yourself. And some people think it's selfish, but the reality of it is, if you're not selfish with yourself, then you have not as much to give to others. So you got to receive as much as you give.
Absolutely.
So that's been my big thing, is shifting over to allow yourself to just reach out and be like, hey, I need a conversation. You might help me out a little bit. And you'd be quite shocked that people want to help you more than you want to help them, which is a nice cool.
For sure. Some great insights there. I want to touch now on the financial aspect of things a little bit. So tell me, what is the biggest financial challenge you're having in your business right now?
So the consistency of being in front of the right people, that used to be the issue. And you'd be like, oh, when's my next client? Who am I going to work with? So what I've really figured out, like, recently is I have to have a system to be consistent with everything. So just because we have a conversation, person's like, yeah, I want to work with you. I'm like, okay, write them down. Not right now. Where's my follow-up? How can I send them information that's going to be helpful for them? How am I staying on their radar and them on my radar? That was huge for that piece, because when you get the right clients, they will actually build what I wanted for me. They'll reach out and give me referrals. But the biggest, hardest part was getting in front of the right people constantly and being okay with asking, not assuming, oh, they don't need a coach. Let me ask them. And sure enough, they're like, oh, that's interesting. But if you don't offer your services because you think someone's further ahead, you're missing out, because the people who are further ahead actually want to invest more in themselves. So that was a hard thing for me to really wrap my brain around, because you want to help out everyone, but the reality of it is you got to be in front of the people who find value in you, and that's where you got to find the value in you. So that's really was my hardest thing to overcome, is just getting in front of people saying, I'm of value and I can help you regardless of where you're at, and not feel intimidated by their income level, because they got the same problems as everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that no matter where you are in the process, there's always something in your mindset that we can all be working on, and the next way to level up.
Definitely, man. Like, I was been recently around a group of people. I'm like, am I in the right room? Should I be here? And what I was saying, they were all like leaning in, paying attention, going, wow, this is interesting. Never heard of this, or where's that? And you just forget that not everyone is an expert in a certain area. They're an expert in their area, but not maybe in your area. So if you can give them some knowledge and they're like, wow, this actually works, they're all for it, because they're like, I want to invest in this. It's not how much is it? It's like, when can we get started? And that's when you know you're doing it right. When they ask you, when can we get started? You're not selling them on you, you're selling you on them. Like, meaning they got to believe in themselves that it's going to work. I've watched too many people get burned in this industry. And that was the other thing I had to overcome, is great marketing out there. Very few people were following through their marketing. So then you get in front of someone, oh, is this going to be like that program? You're like, really? I got to overcome some other person's great marketing, lack of follow through. So how do I prove? And I have clients they can talk to directly that will give, I don't even coach them on it. This guy's interested in working with me. Like, okay, I got you. Here's my results. What did you think? And they overcome everyone's objective or objection before they get to it. That was the one thing, is everyone's going to have the same hesitation. They just want to know how you're going to respond to it.
Yep, makes sense. All right, now let me ask you, can you explain what financial freedom looks like to you? So if you were making enough money in your business that you never had to show up and work inside of it again if you didn't want to, what would you do with your time?
So that's a great question, because I've been working with a group and it's about covering your dimes. Your dimes pay for your life, right? Your dollars, your investments. So they're like, you can cover your bills, but if your bills are $150,000, why make $250,000? You're working too much. Cover your bills, then invest, so you have more time to do what you want. So my big thing is cover all our expenses, doing about 20 hours a week worth of work. So all the expenses are covered, all the dimes are covered, right? Then you get to create the time that you want to invest into bigger things. And our thing is creating a campus where people can come in business and be around nature more or less, and realize like what's more important to them. Communication and culture in business is what makes it succeed long term, and being able to adapt to different ways of communication or refining what they're already doing makes everyone feel that they're connected to the overall, we'll say, the principles of the business, we'll say the core values of the business, we'll say the ability to take the business to its next level. And if people buy into that, they're great. So that's my biggest thing, is getting into someone's business and saying, hey, you've got something amazing, let's make it even better. And let's get everyone on board and work from the top down and the bottom up, and meet halfway and realize, do you know what your employees do? And if you can step away from leading them, what are you going to do? How are you going to show them how to do this? So I think, like, you've probably seen our Undercover Boss, right?
Yeah.
They think their business is doing well, and they go underneath and they get to see what's actually going on. They're like, ooh, this is not going too well. That's the coolest thing. I think that once you get your business established, going back down into where you started, that raw area, and make that better so it trickles up. Because people forget where they came from a lot of times.
Yeah, a lot of times. Yep, that's for sure.
So that's what we really want to have, the ability to impact the individual, so the individual can create this lifestyle and their business is part of their lifestyle. I've just watched too many people burn out and not make it. Oh, when I retire, I'm like, you didn't make it. What's the purpose now? Or they're too old to start something new. I'm like, why? And you show them examples of people in their 50s and 60s who just started, and they're like, I can do this? I'm like, yeah, another life. You get to choose it, create it, have fun with it, enjoy it. So that's really what my big thing is. I mean, when it comes down to money wise, I want to have the ability that if a buddy of mine calls me up and says, hey, let's get together, I'm like, let me adjust my schedule, I'll be there. That's the reality of not having to pick and choose what activity you can do because of financial obligation. You don't have that money. That's the thing that I want to be completely able to do without picking and choosing. I can do them all if I want to, or I can do none of them, but it's not because of the money. It's because of my time. If it's because of money, then I'm not making enough. And my daughter likes horseback riding, and that's not a cheap activity.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, how much? What? For what? 2 days? Oh, we don't even own the horse yet.
All right. Yeah, very good. Okay, now tell me, Shawn, what is your biggest initiative for 2023 in your business? If you can accomplish one thing in your business this year, what is it?
Honestly, it's to pay off all our revolving debt and then grow it to the point where we have real, not contract employees, but real employees who have some say in the game. What I'm looking to add is a couple of coaches to work underneath me who can handle my group programs and then get to do what I really want to do, is speak on more stages and create a certification. Because there's a lot of people out there who are amazing at what they do, but they don't understand how to apply their knowledge to make a dollar from it. And that's getting the right marketing people in place. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you got to realize you're not to hire the right people, but you also need to know how it functions so they don't take advantage of you. So that's the big key, man. This year is paying down the debt, bringing in some key players, having fun with this, and reaching more people through the use of social media and live speaking engagements. So we're actually doing one in Tennessee this Friday too. We're traveling for a wedding. So we're like, hey, we're going to be in Nashville. Might as well get a bunch of people together. I think we've got 20 people meeting up at the Hilton downtown. So we just reached out. Hey, we're going to be in town. We'd love to meet everyone. And we're just meeting. My buddy's a head chef at one of the hotels there at the Hilton. And he's like, yeah, you can use the area. It's quiet at this time. I'm like, great. So it's asking people, hey, why don't you come meet and we'll network and talk? And that's the cool thing is, yeah, okay, we're going for a wedding, but why not meet people wherever you go and find out what you have in common and start networking in person now that we can. So that's what we're doing, something different. We're doing do more and more of those this year too.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, Shawn, it's been absolutely amazing. You've shared a ton of insight for me and the audience. I know it's made for some great conversation. For anybody who wants to find out more about you or what you do, where's the best place they can do that?
On Facebook, look up Shawn A. Huber or The Mental Mechanics. My website is ShawnAHuber.com. So it's SHAWN, A as in Apple, HUBER. And our email address is structuredfreedom@gmail.com.
All right. Very cool. Thanks again for taking the time to come on and share your story. It's been such a pleasure having you on. Yeah. Thanks again, Shawn. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're listening out there and you enjoyed, please go ahead and subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And if you're a six-figure online entrepreneur and would like to come on and be on the show like Shawn has today, you can go to pyfpodcast.com. That's the letters pyfpodcast.com and apply to be on the show as well. All right, Shawn, thanks again.
Thanks.
If you've listened this far, chances are you're an entrepreneur looking to become more financially literate and create financial freedom for yourself from your business.
The Pay Yourself First podcast
Is definitely here to help with that. My goal is to continue to share what I've learned about using your business as the tool to create financial freedom. But let's face it, it would take me years to share with you everything you need to know via these episodes. Creating financial freedom is something that most people never even consider, let alone make a plan for or take action towards. It's something almost no one was taught anything about. Doing it as an entrepreneur is even more challenging, especially without support. So if you're ready to get clear on what financial freedom looks like for you, come up with an action plan, and get the support systems and accountability you need, I invite you to consider the Abundantly Infinite Entrepreneur. I created the program to help entrepreneurs just like you get a handle on their personal and business finances and start building confidently towards financial freedom. And it's how you can discover ways to take 10 years off your retirement, add an extra 5 or 6 figures to your portfolio, and finally get clear on what numbers you should be tracking in your business and why. Together, we'll gain clarity around your financial goals and what being financially free would actually look like for you. Then we'll put together a customized game plan to get you there and the accountability to see you through. And by the way, you're also going to get all the spreadsheets you need to run your numbers, lifetime access to the materials, including any updates, and entry into our members-only community. In addition to all the knowledge, coaching, community, and systems that you need to create financial freedom from your business, you'll also receive a free financial assessment, a retirement planning session, and guided meditation aimed at helping you embody the feeling of true financial freedom. So yeah, you can just listen to the free content on these podcasts to help you move towards becoming a financially free entrepreneur. And sure, you'll likely see some results, or you can make the decision to commit to learning, implementing, and embodying what you need to know to create the financially free life you dreamed of when you started your business journey. Click the link in the show notes to answer a quick questionnaire, and you'll be on your way to joining the abundantly infinite entrepreneur.